Hi, I'm Jeff, and today I'm going to be reviewing the game Operation Flashpoint 2 Dragon Rising. I just picked up this game today, and it's not that bad. It's not exactly like the reviewers are making it out to be. I read a lot of reviews, watched a lot of videos on this game, and they pretty much bash the game. Now, I'm not saying that the game is going to be Call of Duty. It is certainly not Call of Duty. Um, it is a military simulator. To be more specific, it's a U.S. Marine Corps simulator. The game is it's set on the island of Sakura, and basically what you're called in for, or your U.S. Marine forces are called in for, is there's a war about to take place between Russia and China over oil on the island. But that's a little bit of the story, but let's get to reviewing the game. First off, I know people like to compare games, so I'm going to compare this game to something else. If you've played Oblivion or Fallout 3, it's kind of like one of those games meets Call of Duty. Now, when I say it meets Call of Duty, I mean just in the military sense. Weapons, outfits, and vehicles. Everything else is purely either Oblivion or Fallout 3. There's a lot of walking around. The island is massive. It is incredibly huge, and there is a lot of walking on foot. Another thing that makes it not Call of Duty is how you can die. You catch a bullet in the noodle, and you're going down. You're going to die right away, right there on the spot. You can have your legs blown off, your arms blown off, and it has a little body at the bottom that shows you where you're taking damage. You can bleed out to death, which is all great for a simulator. I really enjoyed those aspects. It made it feel really much more alive. But I would strongly recommend, if you do get this game, and if you've played the previous Operation Flashpoints, then you know what this game's about. But for this one, if you're new to it, or even if you've played the previous games, I would recommend the strategy guide. The strategy guide is key. It has the insider tips that you're definitely going to need to get around some of those more tricky enemies. Now, like I said previously, it's no Call of Duty, but it isn't bad. It's not that bad. For a simulator, it is awesome. But I have some key issues with the game that I'd like to bring up. Some funny things are if your teammate gets hurt. Well, if your teammate gets hurt in this game, you need to heal them with a field dressing, or they will bleed out, depending on where they got shot. But when I run towards them to administer a field dressing, they seem to keep running ahead of me and running away from me, which is really stupid. In another instance, I got both my arms blown off by a 50 caliber machine gun, and somehow I was still able to administer a field dressing to myself. I don't know, maybe he did it with his feet. Who the hell knows? But what was even more frustrating is the medic was standing right there, and I was calling the medic. I was trying to call the medic, and he was just didn't do anything. Just kept firing away at the enemy and wouldn't help me at all. I had to administer, with my two blown off arms, administer my own field dressing, which really sucked. But other than that, this game's actually pretty good. Graphics-wise, it's really good. Some of the textures look a little bland. Smoke looks a little flat. But other than that, everything looks relatively good. The character models look really good. The facial features are good. If a character gets wounded, he's laying on the ground bleeding out, he's in a lot of pain, you go up and you look at his face, and he's got the snarled look on his face like he's in a lot of pain. If they're dead, obviously they have the blank stare look. I mean, if one guy's shooting his heavy machine gun over the wall, he's got the grit look on his face, the real intensity. It looks pretty awesome. So let's recap here. A little bit of the flaws are the AI is pretty good, but issues with the medic and having your arms blown off and still administering a field dressing isn't too realistic. But other than those little issues that I've named, the game is spot on. There is a lot of strategy involved in this game. You're going to spend a lot of time squatting in a bush, looking at a map, trying to plan out your next attack. Now, I don't know about you. I like that. I like to order my men around and orchestrate ambushes and plot my plan of attack. And you can definitely do that in this game with pinpoint precision. Exactly. If you come up with a plan, you are going to be able to execute it pretty much the way you envision it. And that comes to the other good aspect of the game. Now, granted, this game isn't action-packed like Call of Duty Modern Warfare or the soon-coming Modern Warfare 2. It's not. You're not going to get the action out of that. Where the action comes into play in this game is planning a strategy and either having it go completely awry and half your team gets slaughtered and you just realized I led half my team to death, or having a plan come full circle and really nailing it and just going into a village and clearing out all the enemies before they even knew you were there. Some Navy SEALs badass style. So, the game, if I had to give it a rate, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, I'd give it an 8.5. This game's not great, but it's pretty impressive, and you should definitely check it out if you're into military games, and especially military games where you can orchestrate some strategy into your planning. There's a lot of military shooters out there, some good, some bad, but a lot of them make you go through choke points where you're forced into the action. This, you make your own action. You can't. You're not going to be running and gunning like Rambo. You got to think ahead. And if you do run and gun like Rambo, not only are you going to end up dead, but your team's going to end up dead. So I'm going to let you guys make the decision. Like I said, an 8.5 out of 10. I give it 2 thumbs up. It's pretty good. But let's hear those comments.